price is risen. And of course, as Christians around the world celebrate Easter, we would like to explore the intricate interplay between faith, community, and progress. Here on the Pulse, we put the spotlight on the role of the church in shaping national identity and fostering societal advancement. Now, Dr. Cyril Gershon Fayose, the General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana, is my guest as we get right into that conversation shortly after first the erratic power supply in the country continues to be a source of worry. And the church has not been left out of the impact of the outages. Some eminent members of the clergy have been speaking on the matter on the probe with Emi Farpao.
Not been very good for us, not just even the churches and activities, but even in our homes and our businesses and our offices. It's not been the best. But we have also not received the best of explanations as to what is happening. And we can't just point to one particular thing that is telling us that this is the situation. And I keep saying, and as when I'm asked, I tell them that I think the authorities should come out very clear on it. If it is some challenge they have, then they come out with the load shedding schedules for us. So we know that this is it. At this point, there will be no light. So if I have to get a genset or have to make further arrangements somewhere, then I put in those measures. Rather than say that there's nothing, then you go ahead and all in the middle of an activity, the lights just go off. And as a church, it puts you off. And it takes time to also come back and all of these. And sometimes we should also understand that it is not just for the people gathered in there. These days, because of media, we are live to other people outside and all over. So we are all concerned.
Right, so let's have this conversation this afternoon. Dr. Cyril Gershon Fayose, the General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana, joins me via phone as we put a spotlight on the role of the church in shaping national identity and fostering societal advancement. Doctor, you're welcome to the Pulse here on Joy News.
Thank you very much.
And
with regards to, and happy Easter to your listeners and viewers.
All right. So I mean, we are still in the Easter celebration. Today is Monday, the day recognized the day that Jesus Christ ascended to heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, the blood and the significance of it still relevant today?
Yes, very relevant today. The essence of the Easter story is Jesus was reconciling the world, the created world, creation to the Creator. So the message of Easter essentially is reconciliation and living in peace and harmony. And I think that is extremely relevant today, even as we march towards the forthcoming general elections, presidential and parliamentary in December 7th of this year. What we need is absolute peace. We need to do that even as we prosecute the agenda of elections.
Right. We'll talk more on the elections, the role of the church, and what you expect of the political leadership, the electorates, of course, and of course, the referee, in this instance, the Electoral Commission. But before I brought you in, we heard some of your colleagues in the members of the clergy also demanding the release of a timetable so that people can plan their lives as uncertainty remains regarding electricity supply in the country. I don't know whether you share in the same concern.
Oh, completely. When you have a schedule, then you can plan your life according to the schedule. So if you know your lights are going to be off on a particular day, even if you have to straighten your clothes before work, you straighten them the day before. So that's what scheduling will do. And I don't know why it is becoming so difficult to just let us know when our lights are going to go off. The fact is that the lights are going off. We are experiencing them every day in our houses, in our bedrooms. Sometimes you just walk into your room and the light goes off and it becomes even impossible to sleep because the weather has been very, very extremely hot these last few weeks. So letting us know will also help us prepare for such occasions.
And for
so I completely agree with my colleagues.
All right. And
we don't live in a perfect world. We understand if there's a problem with our facilities, our infrastructure, when it comes to energy and so on. But if it's creating a problem, you just have to explain to us, and we are human beings, we are understanding beings, and we are going to be able to cope with it. But tell us something. Don't keep us in the dark.
And for the Christian Council as a body, have you asked questions and have you been given any reason why?
We have not really had an opportunity to discuss it as a body. So what I'm saying now to you is I believe the general sentiment of most of the heads of churches and organizations of the Christian body. In fact, one of the people you just played back is the head of the Methodist Church, who is a member of the Christian Council. So I think that's the general sentiment. We have not really sat down to actually discuss it and issue a statement to any particular organization or to the nation as a whole.
All right. Now, let's focus the discussion on the church and the state. 2024, the biggest national assignment is the conduct of the general elections in December. And already preparations are underway. The Electoral Commission, they've announced the timetable towards the 2024 election. How keenly is the Christian Council watching this? And what will be, in terms of your own roadmap to ensure a peaceful conduct of the polls, what are you doing to ensure that it is done?
One of the things that the Christian Council had done over the years, especially in this fourth Republican Democratic dispensation, is we have done voter education and election monitoring. So every year we work with organizations like CODIO and others to be present at every polling station to monitor the election. So we are going to do that again this year. We also do a lot of voter education in among our constituents, in our churches, and most of our pastors talk about it, that it is important for us to exercise our franchise when it comes to this. And also not to just vote along certain lines, but to be critical of the issues and vote accordingly. So that will also be done. And every year, every election year too, we set up what we call the Eminent Persons Group, who address issues that come up as we march towards the election. So, yes, we are observing keenly, and it's our prayer that there will be a peaceful conduct of the elections and the process towards elections before, during, and after the election.
And of course, the role of the Electoral Commission becomes very critical in terms of ensuring free, fair, and transparent process. What is your call to the EC?
My call to the EC is that it must be free, fair, and transparent. I'm happy that very recently they have settled their differences with political parties. IPAC is back on board, and I believe they have decided not to do certain things that at some point they were thinking of doing. All of that is very, very helpful towards a free, fair, election. So whatever they are going to do, they must be very transparent about it, and the parties must be on board. And in fact, the entire nation must be on board. If there are a number of people in the nation or a sector of the nation saying that we don't like something about what the EC is doing, it doesn't augur very well for the election. So we know it's a tough assignment, and we encourage them to do their very best, but they must be as fair and free and transparent as possible.
And 30 years of sustained constitutional rule in the country, will you say that we've learned lessons from elections from 1992 up until now, and for that reason, we should be hopeful of a better outcome in 2024?
Yes, I think so. I'm very, very optimistic and very positive. We have improved from election to election. So I believe that this time around too, we are going to do well. There have been problems along the line, and most of those have been addressed in one way or the other, even though not fully. For instance, one of the key problems that we've had over the years, over the last elections, is the election petition issues.
Right.
And how the judiciary resolved that in time so that we can go on with our lives. It is my prayer that this time around we will not even get there. The whole process will be so transparent, will be so fair to all concerned. There will be no transmission problems and so on, that there will be no need to even petition in the first place.
But in the event that the court will have to decide the outcome of the elections, what will be your proposal in terms of speedily resolving the legal challenge that may arise?
Yes, I think regarding the presidential election, there has been some agreement or understanding as to how long the process should take. That is very helpful. And I believe we are trying to put that together also for the parliamentary elections, so that we don't have a situation where someone is elected or not elected, and the judicial recourse takes almost 4 years before there is a settlement. And by the time there's a settlement, the time is up for another election. So yes, I think the judiciary should play its role when there should be a reason to petition, and do it speedily.
And then the other matter is about the actors in the political arena. And already we are beginning to see the temperature rise. I mean, over the weekend, the MPP, the NDC, all of them, they pitched camp in the eastern region town of Kou. And we've heard comments from there. One party saying that we will not hand over. Another party says that be a man and don't hand over. And we'll see what will happen. As you watch these comments and the influence it will have on the voters and the general temperature of the country, what posture will the council, the Christian Council adopt? And will you call out, name and shame individuals that you may deem their conduct unacceptable?
Exactly so. Those are the key words. Name and shame those who do the wrong things, who incite violence in the media, who say things like, we are not going to hand over, because that is essentially against the entire democratic process. We go to the polls to allow the people to elect their leaders. And once the people speak, who are you to say that you are not going to accept it? So we should call out those people who come in public and say things like that. And I know a number of organizations who are working on such persons to make sure that they don't make such comments. Sometimes they make them out of a partisan zeal for their parties, but it can be dangerous, as you rightly pointed out. So we must discourage it as much as possible. And then, if someone says it, he must be called out. I know some of the media organizations and regulators, like the Media Foundation for West Africa and others, are monitoring very closely statements that the political parties and other political actors make on our airwaves and in public, and call them out, and where necessary, name and shame them.
Is it possible that we'll get to a stage where the Christian community, with over 70% of the Ghanaian population, will take a position and say that because of the conduct of this presidential candidate, we are urging our followers not to vote for this party? Are we likely to get to that point one day?
I don't think so. The councils, like the Christian Council of Ghana and other Christian ecumenical bodies, our role essentially is to create the enabling environment for there to be fairness and transparency and eventually peace that will lead to development in our dear nation, Ghana. So if a presidential candidate should, or a parliamentary candidate should say something that is untoward, I mean, we should call the person out and name and shame, as you have said. But we shouldn't, as a whole body, say that we are not going to vote for one person or the other because of A, B, C. Because this is not about religion. This is about how well we do what we say we are going to do.
All right. Two key national issues, then I'll let you go so that you can go and then spend more time with your family as we observe this national holiday. First issue is about, it's still related to the elections anyway. When the IMF managing director was in town last month, one of the things she said was the fact that even though COVID and then the invasion of Ukraine may be a factor responsible for the state of the Ghanaian economy, she will also not rule out the level of expenditure that went into 2020, especially in the lead up to the national elections. As we head towards 2024, and the fact that our economy is not in good footing, what do you expect of government in terms of spending and meeting the aspirations of people, and also ensuring that they stay within budgetary limits?
My expectation is that government will stay within budgetary limits. That has always been our expectation. But at the end of every election year, we realize that the expenditure had gone overboard. I'm not sure how the councils, like the Christian Council of Ghana, can really control that. Because before we even know that they have overspent, or they are overspending, they have overspent already. So I think our legislature should do a better job of making sure that all the expenses actually go through the necessary approvals in Parliament before they are done. I know the budget has been approved, but are we going to actually spend according to budgetary limits? Is another issue. So our parliamentarians are best should do a better job in controlling the expenditure of government in election years.
Right. And my final question will be, there's been calls on, a lot of Ghanaians feel that perhaps some finality should have been brought on the anti-gay bill. The Methodist Church Ghana says that they are hoping for a meeting with President Akufo to understand the reason why there's some kind of a stalemate on that matter. The Catholic Bishop Conference have made similar comments, say that they also want to meet with the president. The Christian Council, I don't know your reading of the situation and how speedily you want this matter resolved once and for all.
Yes. The Christian Council of Ghana, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council are all putting their heads together as to how best to bring finality to this whole issue, the proper human sexual rights bill. And we are doing some shuttle diplomacy behind the scenes, but eventually a delegation will go to the presidency and spell out the position of the churches on the matter. Also considering some of the issues that had come up, because some of the issues that have come up are no mean issues. Some things that have been said by the Ministry of Finance and the concerns of government generally, that the international community will stop funding us, are real issues that must be looked at. But at the end of the day, the right thing must be done.
But again, the reason why the president's signature is not on the document yet is known. The president has made it clear that we'll wait on the Supreme Court to make a pronouncement on the matters before it. Isn't that reason enough for everybody to hold on and allow the court to take its decision before we can now meet the presidents and to understand why?
I think that is the generally accepted position at this point, to the extent that even Parliament went ahead and also injected some issues so that this issue can be settled speedily. So once someone had taken the issue to court, we should wait on the court to settle the matter, and then we can move on. So that is what I would say.
So this upcoming meeting that you are proposing will look at the possible financial implications for the country if we should go ahead and have this as a law.
That will be part of the discussion.
But that should not take away the fact that you are strongly against, any attempt to legalize this thing.
Yes. That also is part of the discussion. And that is the main part of the discussion.
So in the coming days, we are likely to see all Christian communities come together for this meeting, or you're going to go individually?
No. We are thinking of coming together and then have a tete-a-tete with the president. And our role is, as a Christian community, is to enable government to do a good job in governance, so that there will be peace, progress, and development in our dear nation, Ghana. So that is what we are going to do. How do we do that? So that at the end of the day, Ghana comes first. Ghana wins. So that is our primary goal.
Right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Dr. Fayose, for your time this afternoon on the Pulse. We're grateful for your time. We've been looking at the role the church can play in shaping national discourse and of course and all that, and that is exactly why we brought him on to have this conversation. But it is